Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pasadena Humane's presentation of dog massage. I welcome you all to Wednesday. My name is Michelle Holbrook. I am the Outreach Events Coordinator, and I am joined today by Amber Lockspeiser. How are you today, Amber?
Hey everybody, I'm doing really good. Hope everyone out there is doing well.
So I'm really excited for today's presentation because you have a lot to teach.
Yep. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
going to be really good for everybody.
So, and I'm excited. These are some techniques that I can, take with me when I turn the camera off and spoil my dog a little bit that she's going to be 12 in a couple of weeks.
Oh, baby.
So this will be a nice surprise for her. Before we do get started though, Amber, I'm going to go over some webinar reminders for our audience.
Okay.
Right. So if you guys are joining us for the first time, we're going to go over these webinar reminders. I'd like to let everyone know that this is an audio visual presentation. So although you can see and hear us, we are not able to see or hear you. So if you can refrain from raising your hand, if you will please save your questions for the end of the presentation. And if you do have a question, you can use the right-hand side of your chat box to answer a question. And as time permits, I will go ahead and ask Amber what that question is. Okay. If for any reason you've got to step out, leave early, miss part of this presentation, it is recorded and you will get a recorded video tomorrow afternoon. Okay. We want to ask you to join us for some of our free upcoming webinars. Next week, we're going to be talking to Laura Vina, the founder and creative director of Blockhead Brigade, as she talks about the scoop on pitties and working to debunk some of those myths that we have around these amazing animals. So without further ado, go ahead and take it away, Amber.
So, hey everybody, we're going to go over a couple of different techniques that you can utilize at home. And so massage is beneficial pretty much for every single dog, especially our seniors who have a lot of arthritis. And I think before we start, we're going to actually put up a disclaimer and some info, and then we will get right to it.
So with our disclaimer, Pasadena Humane and Amber Lockspeiser specifically disclaim any liability for any injury whatsoever, including incidental and consequential damages. We do want to remind everybody that participation in this webinar, you assume all risk and liability for the use of these techniques. And this webinar is meant for informational purposes. It does not replace the advice given by your licensed medical practitioner. Okay. Oops. So as we start our presentation, I'd like to ask everybody a question. Massage, there's going to be a poll coming up on your screen and you've got about 30 seconds to answer. So massage therapy is good for relieving muscular tension, reducing soreness and fatigue, tones weak muscles, or all of the above. All right, and the poll will be closing in 3, 2, and 1. So Amber, most of our audience has chosen all of the above.
That's correct. That's perfect. Yes. So massage benefits are, well, we'll put up a little screen here. I'm just going to shift my computer 1 second. Okay. So yeah, massage benefits. This is one list. We have 2 graphics coming up. The benefits are improving muscle tone, body, and spinal alignment, improves range of motion and flexibility, which is super important for our seniors and our frosty faces, reduces pain from inflammation, muscle spasms, and stiffness, increases energy, lowers blood pressure. And then we have a second graphic, I believe. Here we go. Improves the immune system, promotes blood and lymph circulation, slows down degenerative processes, a lot of times that we'll do in the spine, reduces anxiety and stress, helps healing from surgery and injury, toxin release and removal of metabolic waste products from the body, and helps with socialization. So I think we have a different graphic coming up after this.
So another question that we have, Amber, would be massage therapy can help dogs. So it's a true or false question. So it's about dogs who have anxiety. All right, the poll is closing. And most of the audience said this is true.
Yes, it absolutely helps with anxiety. This is really, really crucial with our rescues who have been traumatized, who've been in shelters, and are full anxiety, including July 4th fireworks. So massage therapy is really beneficial for that. So there are times where you don't want to do massage therapy. You know, always ask your vet whether or not you should be doing anything, but this is a list where you definitely do not want to do massage therapy. So contraindications would be fever, heat stroke, open wounds, broken or fractured bones, shock, infectious disease, pregnancy, open sores, rashes, tumors, sprains. And again, always ask your veterinarian. If they say no, then do not do it. Especially dogs with cancer. You want to be super careful to not do massage if there's any form of lymph, because you can release lymphatic drainage and actually metastasize cancer. So you want to be really careful with that. So again, before you begin massage, ask your vet. It's better to do this on an empty stomach for our little dogs an hour before, for our big dogs at least 2 hours before. The reason being is you can cause a gastric issue and you can even cause bloat. So this is really important. It's good if they do go potty first, because then they'll be uncomfortable, and also massage therapy can actually cause them to want to go out. So you always want to make sure that they're comfortable and that they have water. So I get asked this a lot, and it's kind of cute. So every dog kind of has a different response. Some dogs will lay down and go to sleep immediately. Some dogs will pace and walk around, especially first sessions where they're not used to it. They feel a little bit like funny. If you all ever had a spa massage, you'll know that feeling where you're like, oh, you know, and sometimes you kind of want to get up off the table, walk it off, and come back. Our senior dogs don't always like to commit to sitting, because then they have to stand again, and that uses muscles, and sometimes that's painful. So they may pace, come back, you work on them a little more, and that may go on through the entire session. You may have times where your dog will want the session the whole time, and sometimes they're just not into it. So always listen to what your dog wants. This goes for cats as well. So fun fact, dogs have 700 muscles that pull on 320 bones to produce movement. Muscles, as probably we all know, are most likely to get injured and stressed. Massage is the manipulation, pressure, friction, and kneading of skin, muscle, and other soft tissue using various massage strokes. So there's a little graph here of the direction in which muscles run. So you can kind of get an idea of how that works. So, you know, when you see the muscles and they run down, you never want to squeeze it or pull it into the opposite direction, because then you can cause a sprain. So here's another like 2 graphs for a really kind of quick anatomy lesson on the muscles, what they're called, and what parts of the dog's body is called, so that you have a little reference while you're doing it. You could probably print those out and kind of look at them while you're working. So certain massage strokes are consistently used in massage therapy. So what we start with is always effleurage, and effleurage is smooth gliding strokes, and I'll demonstrate all these later. So there's smooth gliding strokes all over the body. You always open a session with effleurage, and then you move into different techniques. So you've got superficial kneading, which would be skin rolling is kind of in that category. That's for the muscles right underneath. Deep kneading would be a different form of massage, which is more like compression for the deeper muscles and the big muscles. You wouldn't use that on those small muscles. You've got PETRISSAGE, which is another form of massage where you kind of pick the skin up a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. TAPOTEMENT is another form. And then you never want to do stretches until you're done doing all the massage, because you want the muscles to be warmed up and flexible. So if you go straight into a stretch, you might actually harm the animal. And then we always close our session. And then there's another technique called T-touch, and T-touch is really, really amazing, especially for rescues and timid, frightened dogs. T-touch is really been an amazing, it's even worked on cats that were afraid of car rides, and it calms them down and reduces anxiety, and is also really good for fireworks and anything that's stressful, traveling in the car, whatever that might be. So before you start, you always want to take a nice deep breath. You want to be relaxed. You want to be in the moment, and you'll set your intent and you do whatever makes you feel good. You can play soft music if you like, maybe put a little lavender fragrance, which is good for dogs for calming. And then you'll start your massage with effleurage, which was the gliding strokes across the whole body. So here's kind of a little graph. It's hard to show without video, so which is why I'm going to demonstrate it. But this is kind of like where your hand movement would be, and but I'll show it to you. So TAPOTEMENT is another form that I'll show you. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the demonstrations after we go through the different kinds, or I think maybe we'll just do that, and then I can just take you through all of it. And then so we'll just maybe do the graphics first. So that's TAPOTEMENT. That's a rhythmic motion. So I couldn't find like a graph for dogs, so we're just using this graph to just pretend it's a big dog. So PETRISSAGE and skin rolling, deep kneading, and muscle squeezing is also the techniques that were discussed a little bit earlier that I'll show you. And then I think there was another. Yeah, so excuse me, before we get to stretches, I think I'll show you the above. first, and then I'm just going to tilt my camera down so that I can show you some of those techniques before we move on to the stretches. So I'm going to tilt this down. If you're having trouble seeing, let me know because I can't really tell. So this here is Phoenix. He's my 8-year-old Doxy, and he's a mush. And
We can
he's very.
we
You
can
see
see
him?
Phoenix perfectly.
Hi. Okay, so what we'll do is we start with the Effleurage, and if you guys want to even follow at home, that would be nice. And so you just do smooth gliding motion. You want to do the full body down to the toes, and it's hand over hand. So you're almost always in contact with the dog. And as you can see, Phoenix is super relaxed. And so this is how you begin your sessions. And then you can move on to PETRISSAGE, which loosens scar tissue and connected muscle. And with this, it's kind of like a C shape. And so you would just be kind of going across. Now, Phoenix is kind of very, very relaxed and very mushy. So if you're working, say, sorry, my allergies. If you're working on, perfect example would be a pit bull. They're very tight and very muscular. So you would have to probably go with a little bit of a deeper, more pressure, but not to hurt. And always follow your dog's response. If your dog obviously is not enjoying it, go back to just doing some Effleurage, and then he may not like it, might not be used to it, and so you can continue doing this and traveling over the full body. Superficial kneading is good to break up scar tissue. Just be careful not to pinch the skin. So what you would do is you would literally roll very gently between your fingers. You would just roll the skin, and you can travel this. And this is for the muscles that lay closer to the skin, not deep. So you don't want to do that. And then the deep kneading, that one is for the larger muscles. And that one is where you can actually squeeze the muscle a little bit. But again, never too hard. You don't want to hurt. And so for Phoenix, his little legs are over here, but the thigh muscle, you could do a little compression. Also be very aware of cold or hot spots on your dog's body. So for instance, for anybody who has dogs with IVDD issues, especially our Doxy people, if for some reason you go over to a paw and you notice, oh, this is very cold and these are all warm, that's an indication that circulation is not getting to this area, and you may want to go to the vet and have that checked out. So just be wary of hot spots, anything cold, and if you just detect anything, this is what's so important about massage therapy is you are palpating and you can find issues that might be there that you weren't aware of. And when you do this every day, or depending on circumstance, you will get to know your dog's body completely, and you will be able to detect, oh, there's a lump here I never felt before. So this is kind of like very, very beneficial to be able to do every day for your pet. So then you can also move to TAPOTEMENT, which is a rhythmic thing like this, but you only want to do this primarily more on the back. It also will help with, let me just try to shift him a little. Sorry, buddy. I know, sorry. So you can do this, it's a little bit rhythmic. Also helps with muscles, and again, never too hard, just always very gentle. For our larger muscular guys or girls, you can do a little bit more. pressure to this, but again, always follow whatever your dog's. So Phoenix is, like I said, is very mushy. You can kind of do anything and he'll let you. And so you've got that going. Now, when you are doing deep kneading, which is the muscle squeezing, and when you're doing any form where you're looking for trigger points and you're doing strokes, always put effleurage in between this. So, you know, you say, oh, wow, this is a very tight muscle here on the thigh. And then you work in here a little bit. You know, you can use your thumbs, you can press the muscle to like loosen, and you can feel when you can actually move the muscle gently, then you know that it's loosened. But sometimes it might be very tight. So as you're working on it, you always want to make sure that you effleurage, and then you can go back and work the muscle, and then effleurage. And this is how you prevent any form of injuries or anything that might occur. So I think that was most of our strokes as far as I can see. So yeah, so that would be kind of an example. And then we had stretches, I think was next. So go back up here. So yeah, so here we have stretches. I'm going to switch Phoenix with a stuffed animal because the legs are longer and I can better show you. So just give me 1 second while I shift this little guy. Oh, sorry, buddy, I know. So here we have Brownie. And so let me just tilt this back down again. Okay. So here we have Brownie. Some of the stretches that you can do, let me just move this over and move Brownie over. So one of the more important things that you can actually do also during massage besides stretches, it's just he has bigger paws, is actually massage the paws. And what you do is you just go in a circular motion and then you kind of effleurage it. And what's good about this is getting your dog used to having their paws touched. So eventually when it comes to nail clipping, they'll be used to the touch. Plus it feels really, really good. And so you can even go, and he doesn't really have toes, but you can take a toe and just super gently do a little wiggle, then move on to the next, a little wiggle. And this way you stretch both. Then you can do a little paw stretch. It's very gentle. And you can do this like 5 to 8 times. And then you can go and work up the leg like so. And then you can do a stretch, which very gently is you can stretch up a little bit and then down a little bit. And again, never go past a range of motion. If the dog starts to shake, stop. Like you definitely don't want to go past that point. You just want to hold it a little bit, very gently, and then go back. And then you can go back to that point of shake, but just stop. Never push it because you don't want to cause injury. It'd be a good indication, and you'll know that your dog's a little bit stiff and doesn't have a full range of motion. But never force it. An elbow would be over here. And yes, doggies have elbows. And so a really good stretch would be to pull up for elbow dysplasia. This is a very good stretch. If your dog is sitting, which unfortunately maybe can get him to sit. No, Brownie's being a very good sport. So a good stretch for elbow dysplasia would be to stretch up like so, and then down just to kind of get mobility and to kind of break apart a little bit of the stiffness on that. So if they're on their side, you can pull back like so. And again, cradle the joints and just very gentle. If your dog doesn't get past this point, that's okay. That's his range of motion for today. And as you continue to do this, it may get better to where they'll be able to do a full stretch. And that goes for forwards as well. And again, never forced. Now you can do this at least 3-4 times also, you know, and then moving on to the back legs. Same thing with the paw, where you want to like work the paws and you can get in there and do a little circular massage, wiggle the toes. Then you can do a little back stretch like so. And then we have the ankles. You can get in there, that's the hawk. You can do a little circular, very gentle though, don't squeeze, just very gentle, in a little sort of like circle around this area. And then you can move on to doing some actual abduction, adduction stretches where you will always support the leg. And you can do a little lift like this and then hold it for a few, and then back down again, and back up. And again, not too much. And if there's any discomfort, always stop. Shaking, that's just the muscle kind of working, but you don't want to go too far. So the point, let's say he's shaking here, we stop here. So another good stretch then would be, again, supporting the thigh, and then a little stretch forward. Now this one sometimes is met with a little bit of resistance, especially for our dogs who have IVDD issues or have been roached back, where they're supporting their back with a arch. So what they're doing is they're relieving the pressure from the back and they're putting it kind of onto the front legs. So a lot of times this area may actually become very stiff because they're not working it. So you want to just be very careful. So when you are going to do the stretch, you just go again very gently. Some dogs won't get past this point. Some will be over here. So depends on your dog's range. And then another good stretch kind of works the butt area and the lower back is let me just move him over, is to go back like this. Now again, some dogs resist. So you might get only up to here and they may sit up and look at you, and that's okay. You know, just go back and then work it back a little bit more. And then see if you can go just a little, as long as there's no shaking or pain, you can go a little bit. Now, if you have a dog who has hip dysplasia, do not do this. This is not for dogs who have hip dysplasia. And again, if you have questions, concerns, or you're worried, always consult your veterinarian. And so don't just run and do this. So again, but for dogs without the hip dysplasia, this is an excellent stretch that you can do.
Amber, do you have a quick question while we're here? Do you have any strategies for working with dogs that have ticklish feet?
Desensitizing. So basically what you do is you hold the feet, and if they keep pulling away, have a little bit of a treat. And so when you're holding the foot, give a treat, and then work a little bit and give another little treat. Some people have used peanut butter because it takes a long time to lick it. And then you can kind of work the feet and sort of let them see that, oh, well, my feet are being worked on. I'm getting a treat. So maybe this isn't so bad after all. And so you can try that. That should work. Some dogs just will not have it, and that's okay. Just, you know, every dog is different. They have their personalities. Some like one thing, some don't like another thing. Another really good thing to do, like we're going to go from stretches into T-touch at some point, but since I'm here already and I have Brownie, who's a very good sport about everything, I'll show you another, it's a form of T-touch that's called like ear touch. And there's also, if you know Chinese medicine, there's meridians. There's a lot of meridians that are on the ears. So you're kind of hitting a whole bunch of therapeutic, let's say, acupressure points when you're doing this. So what you do is you just go and you go down the ear, and this is good because he's got very big ears. So you kind of go in a circle and you work it around the ear. And then you kind of do what we said was like effleurage. You kind of just stroke it down. And then you can kind of work the ear in a full circle. Now, majority of dogs enjoy this. Again, some don't want their ears touched, and that's okay. We just don't do that for them. And you just keep working this. You can work here by the temple. So dogs, believe it or not, do get headaches. And so if you ever look at your dog and he's got this eyebrow frown going on, it's very possible he might have a headache. And so this kind of like massage is actually very good around the temples. And remember, always just be gentle, never do too much pressure. And then you can go on, sorry for the tags, go on in a circle. And then, you move on, you do a little circle around the ears, make it feel good. So you can do that also. Kind of going off topic just because I'm here already. I know this wasn't sort of technically part of anything, but there is an acupressure point. It's called Governing Vessel 26. I just like to share this point as much as possible with everybody. If your dog, and the reason I'm bringing this up has to do with COVID. With COVID, it's been extremely difficult to get vet appointments, and it's just been very stressful. So one of the things that you can do while you're trying to go to a vet or even the ER, you can kind of do this and hopefully help the situation out, and before you actually can get to the vet. So this point also works on humans. So it's called an emergency point. It's right here. So if your dog faints, for all our dogs who have heart issues, sometimes they may faint. For dogs who have seizures, for people who have low blood pressure, maybe they got up too fast, passed out, you can press here. Remember, this is before you get to the vet, just something to do in case of an emergency. You press here. And this is silly, but it works. Do the pressure to the word boop. So you go boop, and that's the pressure. You want to hold this point anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds. Let go. If the dog or the person's still kind of passing out, you do it again. Now, I've actually done this at dog parks when a dog had a seizure. I did it once when a dog got attacked. I was trying to prevent the dog from going into shock before they got to the vet. So that's just a quick thing. It's called Governing Vessel 26. It's right here, right there. So that's just something I just wanted to kind of, sorry for going off, but I think it's an important point. So, all right, so that's kind of our stretches. And then we can move on to some of the other T-touch. So one of the other T-touches is actually, all right, true. So we should close our, sorry. So before T-touch, we can close our session. The reason I'm doing that is that I incorporate T-touch into the massage sometimes. I don't do it separate. It depends on my mood and what I'm getting back from the actual dog. But when you are done with the session, you want to close the session. And so what you do is you do the effleurage down the paws, and then you want to run it down the back. I don't know if you hear Phoenix snoring, sorry about that. And then you can go down here and just go down this way. And then when you're done, I like to just sit quietly for about a minute or so, just so that there's no jarring wake up. You know, they're relaxed, they're in a good place. You just want to kind of sit and be with them and be in the moment and just kind of like hang out with them as they're relaxed. Phoenix. So
It sounds like Phoenix is really relaxed at this point.
he's snoring. He's a little
Right.
guy, but he's got a big snore.
So Amber, is it safe to do T-touch on dogs with upright ears?
Yes. Yeah, you can do this to any, as long as the dog likes it. So you can do the ear touch, and it's really a great thing to do. Like I say, most dogs will like it. For instance, horses aren't a big fan because they use their ears for communication. So sometimes they don't like it, and sometimes they do. And it's the same with any animal. Some like it. You know, even my rats enjoy their ears rubbed. So, you know, it's kind of across the board for the most part. So here's T-touch again. So there's another touch. So T-touch is basically 1 1/4 circles. So you start and you go in a circle like this. And what you do is you move the skin in a counterclockwise. So you start from like 6, you go straight across over and then a little bit over. So 1 full circle and 1/4, and you travel it. And your fingertips are kind of like this. So your fingertips are touching your thumb, and you go in a circle, and then you can glide over to the next spot. You can do a circle, and you glide over to the next spot. And this is like called, I think, leopard touch. Snow leopard, probably, I think is the one. And you literally do this across the entire body. Just always be careful never to press during massage or ever on the actual vertebrae. You never want to actually touch or press on the vertebrae. So you go around, you're going around it, and you can just follow along like this. And it's a nice, relaxing, slow kind of massage, you know. And you can just travel it all around, and then have a contact hand. And then you can go back up here. You can do this on the head, and glide, and then go back down. And so this is one of the touches that is really excellent, especially for our rescues. For anyone who's gotten a dog who's been traumatized, who's had just a bad time, came out of a shelter, and you just travel across. And so then you just travel across. There is another stretch. And sorry if I'm jumping around. It's just because while I do it, it enters my mind. Is a tail stretch. Now, the tail is part of the spine. So there may be resistance to this. Again, it depends on the dog, depends if there's a disc issue. So never force it, always as gentle as possible. But it's a really good stretch for them, is if you just put one hand here and very gently just move a little bit this way. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Just do this. If there's resistance, again, don't push past. Just a little bit, and then you can go back onto the other side a little bit. You can even pull straight gently, very gently, just a little bit. You don't want to yank. You just want to do a little gentle. You can even massage the tail. Part of the vertebrae is still here. And so you can massage it down. You can even do a slight little circular thing, very gentle. Just go back and forth. And that will also help. And then again, a little effleurage to stretch it out. So, and then one of the other T-touches is called bear T-touch. And bear T-touch is is good for itching and hot spots and fleas and skin allergies. And so one of my dogs has allergies in late spring and in fall. So right now, October, he's having a little bit of this experience. And so Bare T-Touch is really, really great. So for this one, you want to have your fingernails at a medium length so that you're not digging in. And what you do is you place your fingers on that circle again, say it's 6 o'clock, and you want the contact to emphasize the nails, not the pads like the other touch. And so you make a complete circle with your fingertips straight down, and you're literally going like this. And this kind of helps them feel better. Now, the pressure shouldn't be too deep, you know, like for fleas and maybe skin allergies, like a 2 to 3 pressure, hot spot 2 to 4. I'm not sure how to explain, like, you know, obviously don't dig in other words. So you can go a little bit deeper, would be like maybe a 4, a little deeper can be 5, but you only want to do that in the back because that's the bigger muscle. So you don't want to ever hurt. So you're basically doing this. And you're traveling it around the body. If this helps. This one, if your dog is actually having any kind of kidney problem, this actually will help too. It'll soothe the kidney issue. So you'll be back here, and which, again, it's a bigger muscle here. You can go a little bit more pressurized. If you do this and your dog looks at you and is not happy, definitely stop. You can just rub the spot again with the Effleurage and just work it that way. So hopefully these are a couple of things that you can do to make your pet more comfortable. And it's really good for bonding and for feeling closer to your animal. And they will absolutely love it and get used to it. And then they'll probably ask you for it all the time. So I think that was most of what I wanted to cover.
All right, so Amber, I do have a question to add. We've got quite a few questions from our audience. I have one that I want to ask you, but I also want to ask the audience what their opinion is before we get to the answer for the question. So I'm going to throw up another poll question. How often do dogs need a massage? So we'll give them a few seconds to answer this question, and then you can go ahead and chime in. All right, and the poll is closing. So Amber, it looks like most of our audience has said depends on the individual case.
Yeah, and that's correct. If you know, some dogs are a little bit like sensitive. Some dogs, you can kind of do it every day. You can do like 5-10 minutes, but if you're doing a real like 30-minute hardcore massage, you probably don't want to necessarily do that every single day because it's a lot for them. You know, it can be a little bit sore. A lot of times I'll let you know, they may leave in the middle and drink some water and just sort of, it's like a detox thing. But, you know, I've had clients who, again, twice a week was necessary. I've had clients 3 times a week was necessary. We went down to once a month. If there was a problem, we went back up again. So it really is an individual, like a very individual basis. But for home, you can do 5-10 minutes and see how they go. And some may just love it and come to you and be like, you know, shove their back into you and be like, I want more, you know. And don't be surprised if sometimes they tell you where they want the massage. So I kind of laughed at that when I first started. I'm coming up to 10 years, October 26th. So, and I kind of giggled at that at first, but I've now seen it. I've actually been shoved with their nose to the spot they wanted me to work on. It's that incredible. So, but they'll get used to it. They'll let you know. Always just be in tune to, that's why I always, put your intention and take the deep breath. And 'cause sometimes what happens is, say we have a senior and they have arthritis, you notice that day they're stiff, they're walking kind of bad. We have this intention to sometimes make everything better and heal it immediately. And then sometimes the dog's body just isn't there. So we always want to be really cognitive of not forcing anything ever. No matter how bad we want it, it doesn't mean that your animal is able to handle that. And the older they are, the more sensitive to touch they are. So some of you may have noticed that, your 12-year-old, your 15-year-old frosty face just doesn't really want to be pet that much anymore. And it's not because of you, it's just their skin is more sensitive as they age. And, muscles aren't as strong as they used to be, and it's just uncomfortable. So you want to really go very gently, very easy. T-touch is great for that. So yeah, that would be, so mostly on the individual case.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, no, not at all. Would you mind taking some audience questions?
No, go ahead. That's great.
All right, so will massaging my dog's head get rid of the headaches?
It will help, because what'll happen is, so if they have a headache and you see their eyebrows are clenched, that means that their whole head is tense. And you might even notice the skin doesn't really move as easily during when it's tense. So when you do a very gentle massage, when you do a really gentle massage around the temple area and the head, they may actually relieve a little bit of that tightness, which adds to the pain. So now again, some dogs, when they don't feel well, do not want anything at all. They want to be left alone and they want to sit in the dark. They need to work it out, and that's okay. That's okay for them to do. But yeah, you can definitely help relieve some of it by just massaging. And think of yourself, when you have a very bad headache and you do this, it helps. Like, it always feels like a little bit better. So, you can definitely help the pain that way.
All right, so earlier you had mentioned lavender oil. Is that something that's safe for cats?
I think lavender is one of the ones that tends to be safe for cats, but you need to be really careful with this. You want non-synthetic for starters. I would always go with the cautious side when it comes down to it. Lavender is definitely okay for dogs. I would check to see if it is one of the ones that's actually good for cats. Cats are very, very specific when it comes to these kind of oils. The majority of oils are not good for cats. I had a cat and I was super careful never to use any incense, not even plants. Toxicity is for dogs and cats. You always kind of want to research that. But try to get non-synthetic, and that's the harder part. You want definitely a good spot for that. I believe lavender is not toxic to cats, so I think lavender is okay, is one of the okay ones. But again, double check. There's times I've seen one thing that, like, this is fine, and then 2 years later it's like, no, it's not fine. And so always just make sure, do a check. But try to get non-synthetic. There's not many companies, unfortunately, that have that. So you have to be very specific when it comes down to it. But yeah, lavender, I think, is one that's safe for both.
Right. With massaging, is there a recommended location to perform the massage, whether on a table, on the floor, in your lap?
Oh, excellent. So I personally never ever work on a table because the dog can fall off. So I find that to be uncomfortable and restraining to them, and I feel that they feel trapped, and that doesn't make for a nice, comfortable, soothing massage. It makes it panicky. So I like to work where the dog is actually comfortable. So me personally have worked in people's bathrooms, on beds, in the backyard, under a table. I literally just go, I tap into my inner octopus and I squeeze into a little space and then I work on them. And then, look, sometimes while I'm working, they decide, you know what, I would rather sit over there. So then I follow them to the other spot and I sit there with them. I give it a few minutes because sometimes I need to know. So I'm empathic and intuitive, so I'm kind of good at this kind of thing. But sometimes when they leave, it's because they don't want anymore. And sometimes they leave because they just needed to walk it off for a second, or they found a cooler spot to sit in. So you have to be really aware. Now, the good thing about this is everybody knows their own pet. So this kind of guessing game isn't that bad for you. So you'll know, like, oh, my dog loves the couch. So you can sit on the couch and work. Just know that when you are sitting on a couch and so you're doing this the whole time, may actually hurt you a little bit with your back. So, or twisting. So you both want to be comfortable because then you can't make the massage comfortable if you're kind of struggling there. So, but wherever the dog feels comfortable, or the cat, honestly. I know this is more dog related, but we have cat people out there. Or
Yeah,
both.
I've got one of each, so
Yeah.
I may
So
try some of these techniques on him. And speaking of
yeah.
techniques, what was the one called where you put your finger on the nose?
Okay, that's an acupressure point, and
Okay.
it's called governing vessel 26. So it's not it's I guess it's kind of a technique, but it's an acupressure point, and it's like, again, it's right here, right where that, see where like that little line is.
Mm-hmm.
It's here on a person. It's right here. So, quick story, when my father passed away, my mom fainted and I ran and did that to her. So she came out of it, she went back down, I did it again, she came back out of it again. So it's really an imperative spot for people and animals. And it works because I myself have used it many times. So yeah, governing vessel 26. That's your acupressure point of the day.
I wish there was an easier name for that.
I know. Just call it
Um,
the emergency point right here.
the red, it's the red button.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And now most of what you were doing was, massaging the back and the limbs. What about the belly?
Yeah, so you can also do, this is so odd. Let me just melt this down. Belly rubs are great. You can do like a circular, hold on one second. So if you do like, and thanks for reminding me, because I actually kind of forgot while I was doing the demo. So you just do like a circle like this, actually, is
Okay.
really good for digestion, actually. So this is really good for digestion. And then, of course, you can just, run back down this way. Again, effleurage it, so, and gentle. And also don't, I forgot about ribs. So you can also, massage down the ribs. Um, Believe it or not, sometimes a rib goes out of place and actually sticks up a little bit, and you'll be able to kind of feel that, and then you'll know that there's a rib out of place. That's
Okay.
too complicated for me to show you how to put one back in place. That's like a whole thing. But
Right.
you might feel that and be like, why is there, a rib bump? And so your dog may have trouble breathing if that is the case. Like there may be a little like a harder, breath to take because there's spaces in between the ribs. It's a complicated thing. But yeah, you want to also go across the ribs, both sides, and So that too is a good spot. And again, remember, do not feed small dogs for an hour before and big dogs for 2 hours before. And by big dog, even like, just consider like, to be safe, 30 pounds and over, 2 hours before massage, and the little guys in 1 hour.
All right, and we've got time for one more question. So, is there an ideal time of day to massage your animal? Morning, before bed, you know?
So that's a good question. So I think for any time of day is actually good, but I think it has to do with a couple of things. If you are in a rush in the mornings and you're trying to throw in a 10-minute massage real fast, it's probably not going to be that great because your mental state is someplace else. You're rushing. So if you have that time and you can just sit and relax and be there at the moment and do a nice, relaxing, quick 10 minutes, that's fine. And that would be great for senior dogs who are arthritic and who have trouble getting up right away, so you can do a little quick effleurage, warm up their muscles before they stand. There's acupressure points for that too, too complicated to get into. But they can at least warm up their muscles a little bit before they get up. Nighttime is also good because they've had a whole day of barking and running around and squirrels and, except for Phoenix, who's still sleeping. But
Wow, that first few minutes of the effleurage really relaxed him.
he's still snoring.
Still snoring.
But so yeah, I would say any time of day is good. Just make sure that you're in a good place. You're not like expecting a phone call. You're not, distracted, watching TV while doing it, whatever you're comfortable and, beneficial to the dog is any time or cat. But in the mornings for our arthritic kids, and then, at night just for like a full relaxation. Or for instance, maybe your dog really did have a tough squirrel day and they were taunting him and he was really stressed out. And, a lot of times the neck is a really tense, tight muscle space. And especially for the little ones, because they're always looking up. So they're using this a lot. For dogs that have back issues, they're always using the front. And so they, compensate. And so the neck ends up being really tight. So, neck is a really good area to try to massage, and try to very gently loosen that muscle.
All right, well, before we sign off, I'm going to share my screen one more time so everybody can kind of see how to get a hold of you, how to get a hold of us, because we have a lot of great resources at Pasadena Humane. So you guys can see here's how to get a hold of Amber. She's on social media. And as a reminder, if you don't get a chance to jot all this information down, the recording will be sent to you tomorrow. And then this is just a little bit about Pasadena Humane. We do have virtual pet behavior consultations, so you can get a hold of our behavior team. And Amber was talking about getting some treats for your dog to kind of get them used to understanding that touch is a good thing. So we do have a shelter shop and you can get all kinds of food, treats, and toys for your animal. And the last thing I want to do, oh, hello, Phoenix. The last thing I want to do before we sign off is I'm going to throw one more poll up on the screen because I want to know how you heard about us. So is it because you've been to a webinar before? Did you see us on social media? Did you visit our website? Was there a friend or family member who said, hey, I've got this great thing that I know about? So it's pretty much all over the board, Amber. So, hopefully you'll might get some business out of this. I know the last time we we did this, you said you got a client. So,
Okay, buddy.
all right. Well, looks good. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Amber, thank you so much for all of your information.
You're welcome. Thanks
I,
everyone for joining
I,
in.
I'm excited to try some of these techniques on my 12-year-old.
Yeah,
She's, she falls into that camp of like, this is my foot, don't touch it, it's only mine.
see, he's mush. I can do anything. This guy.
But then at the same time, I also have a 7-month-old cat that I think he might like a lot of these techniques because he just kind of gets there
Yeah,
and goes, oh.
baby. Yeah. Yeah,
So
once they're used to it, they love it.
Yeah, so thank you everyone out in the internet world for joining us today. And this recording will be sent to you tomorrow afternoon. Thank you so much for doing this, Amber, and giving us your
You're welcome.
time.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Stay
Have
safe.
a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye, Phoenix. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.